Headlines of VTV News. New milestone in Vietnam-Japan extensive strategic partnership. Prime Minister sets disbursement target of 95% of public investment capital this year. And later on in our world news, top diplomats of China, Japan and South Korea seek to boost three-way ties.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Hello there and welcome to VTV News broadcast live from Hanoi. I'm Lina Pham with the latest news update. At the invitation of Japan, Vietnamese State President Võ Văn Thưởng and his spouse are on an official visit from November the 27th to the 30th. On Monday evening local time, Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida and his spouse hosted a welcome ceremony in Tokyo. Shortly after the ceremony, the two leaders held talks on measures to raise the extensive strategic partnership between the two countries to new heights.
The Vietnamese state president's official visit to Japan takes place in a year of special significance, marking the 50-year journey of friendship and extensive strategic partnership between Vietnam and Japan. Welcoming the state president, Japan accorded the highest welcome ceremony, showing the great importance to relations with Vietnam in a high position in the country's foreign policy and wishes to reach a new development step the extensive strategic partnership. The state president affirmed that the relationship is a typical model of effective and sincere cooperation with many potentials and prospects. On that basis, the two leaders agreed to upgrade the relationship between the two countries to comprehensive strategic partnership for peace and prosperity in Asia and the world. The two leaders also agreed to continue strengthening economic cooperation between the two countries, promoting cooperation to ensure economic security and expanding cooperation in new fields, including innovation, technology transfer, digital transformation, green transformation, and semiconductor industry. During this time of rapidly changing and complicated global uncertainties, the two leaders affirmed to continue coordinating closely on resolving regional and international issues of mutual concern, actively contributing to maintaining peace and stability. The two countries would continue to support each other at multilateral forums, international and regional organizations. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida affirmed that Japan would support Vietnam to host APEC Year 2027 and support Vietnam and other Asian countries achieve the goal of carbon neutrality in 2050. The Vietnamese state president affirmed that Vietnam will actively cooperate and contribute to the success of the ASEAN-Japan Commemorative Summit in December 2023. After the talk, the two leaders held a meeting to inform the press about the results of the talk.
Mr. Prime Minister and I just had a very successful talk. The two sides reviewed the achievements and the development of the relationship and cooperation. In particular, we issued a joint declaration on upgrading the relationship between the two countries to a comprehensive strategic partnership for peace and prosperity in Asia and the world. The joint statement and talks have paved the way for friendship and cooperation in the coming time.
Even since I served as a member of the House of Representatives, I have frequently visited Vietnam. Today, I had the opportunity to discuss in detail the relationship with the Vietnamese state president. Vietnam is an important stronghold in the supply chain and an important partner to co-create specific high-tech projects, along with focusing on training future human resources of Japan. The Vietnamese state president and I have agreed to promote cooperation in many areas, but the important thing is that we will make the highest possible effort to further develop Vietnam-Japan relations.
Also on the same day, the two leaders witnessed the handing over of cooperation documents between agencies of the two countries. Also on this occasion, the ASEAN and East Asia Economic Research Institute sent the Policy Advisory Report, Vietnam 2045, to the Vietnamese state president and Japanese prime minister.
Also on Monday morning, State President Võ Văn Thưởng met representatives of the Vietnamese overseas who have made practical contributions to Vietnam-Japan relations. More to follow.
Among the representatives were intellectuals and experts who have been living and working in Japan over 50 years. They said Japanese people love Vietnam and believe in the bright prospect of bilateral relations in future. The intellectuals and experts expressed their grateful for the Vietnamese efforts to create a favorable learning and research environment, contributing to outstanding success of the Vietnamese in the field of medicine, mechanical manufacturing, and semiconductors, which also positively contribute to Japan.
Success in Vietnam is difficult. Success abroad requires much greater efforts and hard working to overcome difficulties and challenges. Nonetheless, these successes are even more meaningful as they also contribute to both Japanese and Vietnamese communities, as well as strengthen the relation between two countries. This will also contribute to enhance the love of Japanese people to the Vietnamese and strengthen sincere trust of friends in two communities.
The Vietnamese state president affirmed that the state party always values talented people in national development. He expressed his hope that the Vietnamese overseas will further promote bilateral ties in the future. Also on Monday morning, the state president met with officials and staff of the Vietnamese embassy in Tokyo and Vietnamese community in Japan. He requested the embassy to implement the agreements, especially the newly joint statement on upgrading relations to the comprehensive strategic partnership for peace and prosperity in Asia and the world. The embassy continued to protect more than 520,000 Vietnamese citizens, along with promoting cultural cooperation and people-to-people exchanges commensurate with the good political and economic ties between the two countries. The state president also expressed his joy as the Vietnamese community has made great efforts of organizing events to preserve Vietnamese language and culture in Japan.
Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính urged the acceleration of public investment disbursement, striving to disburse at least $27.8 billion or 95% of the target this year, while chairing an online meeting in Hanoi on Monday between permanent government members and ministries, agencies, and localities. More in the following.
In the first 11 months of this year, nearly $19.2 billion in public investment capital was disbursed, reaching 65.1% of the target, or 6.77% higher than the same period last year. Though the figure was better than last year, 41 ministries and centrally run agencies, along with 24 localities, posted disbursement rates lower than the national average. At the meeting, the Prime Minister said, while there is just over 1 month left to conclude the fiscal year 2023, there is still a considerable amount of funding in need of disbursement, roughly $10.2 billion. He urged ministries, agencies, and localities to elevate the spirit of overcoming difficulties to fulfill the new target of at least 95%. To achieve the goal, they were asked to follow the directives of the party, state, National Assembly, and government leaders, the government's resolutions regarding the work, which should be accompanied by ensuring the quality of projects and combating corruption and wastefulness.
We share responsibility, we work together, and most importantly, we hold responsibility with the people and the country in this difficult situation. There are 3 growth drivers, which are consumption, investment, and export. Central and local authorities must uphold the Politburo's sense of responsibility for implementing the Central Committee's conclusions, which is to give priority to growth and focus on disbursement of public investment capital. We must reduce expenses, save and mobilize resources, and invest in key areas. By doing so, we can create jobs, ensure people's livelihoods, and create growth momentum for the country.
The government leader also requested maintaining the activities of the government's 5 working groups and the quarterly working session mechanism between government members and localities. Ministries were assigned to remove difficulties, including those related to 3 national target programs, in order to strengthen inspection and supervision while urging investors, contractors, and consultants to accelerate project progress. The Prime Minister emphasized the continuation of special working groups led by the chairpersons of the People's Committees of Provinces to promote public investment.
Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh attended the 30th anniversary of the Vietnamese Young Entrepreneurs Movement on Monday afternoon. On this occasion, Party General Secretary Nguyễn Phú Trọng, State President Võ Văn Thưởng, and Chairman of the National Assembly Vương Đình Huệ also sent flowers to congratulate the group. After 30 years of development with 19,000 members, the Vietnam Young Entrepreneurs Association has contributed to promoting the will and desire to start a business of the young generation in the period of innovation and integration, making an important contribution to the country's socio-economic development and promoting the entrepreneurial and creative spirit of Vietnamese youth. National Assembly Chairman Vương Đình Huệ attended a conference summarizing the organization of the 9th Global Young Parliamentarians Conference that took place last September. He affirmed that the conference is the biggest multilateral foreign affairs event hosted by the 15th National Assembly with successful results beyond expectations. The event was highly appreciated by the President of the IPU International Parliamentary Union, the IPU Secretary General, the Chairman of the Young Parliamentarian Forum, as well as the international young parliamentarians, leaving a deep impression about the Vietnamese National Assembly in particular and the image of the country, culture, and people of Vietnam in general. Now, a number of lawmakers suggested raising the ratio of state capital in public-private partnership or PPP Road Projects to 80% while discussing a draft resolution on special mechanisms and policies for such projects. Regarding this issue, the Ministry of Planning and Investment has submitted a report to the Prime Minister proposing to increase the ratio of state capital in the Dong Dang Cha Ling Expressway PPP project to 70% and the Tai Binh Coastal Road project to 80%. A major bottleneck has been resolved to soon deploy the project and bring in efficiency and benefits to both investors and the whole economy.
Decades of production and doing business in Cao Bang province, this company has not yet achieved the expected growth rate due to the underdeveloped conditions of the local transportation system.
Transportation and logistics costs are high and delivery time is so inconvenient for us. These things greatly affect our production.
There are only national highways connecting the province with its neighbors. Along the ways to the province, there are slopes and narrow roads. A modern highway is expected to become a breakthrough for this locality. However, whilst the budget is limited, investment in the form of public-private partnership, PPP, is considered highly effective and feasible.
We, the people, are very excited upon hearing about the construction of a national highway connecting Dong Dang to Cao Bang province.
We have ordered a number of projects to be halted for this project. The province has allocated approximately $166 million for the project.
Over the past years, prospects for PPPs in Vietnam remain limited. The main reason lies in a problem, which is ration of the state capital stays at no more than 50%. This leads to a problem, which is it is difficult to attract capital to public-private partnership projects in remote and mountainous areas.
Investors have to spend their money for the site clearance. They want a clear view on capital recovery. It is currently not feasible, thus investors don't want to pour their money into those projects.
I think we should consider increasing the ratio of the state capital to 70%, 80%, or even 85%. A risk-sharing mechanism with investors should also be come up with.
In the period 2021 to 2025, the ratio of public investment capital accounts for only 16% to 17% of total social investment capital. This means that public investment capital cannot fully meet the capital requirements for the development of infrastructure investment. Therefore, attracting capital in the form of public-private partnerships will be an important direction to upgrade the infrastructure for the development of the country.
Coming up next, Thừa Thiên Huế Province projects mangrove forests on path to net zero commitment. And Sóc Trăng Province improves lives of Khmer people. Welcome back to VTV News. Vietnam has been taking action to fulfill its COP26 commitments of reducing its carbon footprint and achieving the net zero emissions by 2050. One of the key initiatives is the preservation and expansion of mangrove forests in coastal area. Our report from Thừa Thiên Huế province.
A total of 45 hectares of mangrove forests have been planted along the Tam Giang Lagoon. These mangrove forests have achieved a survival rate of nearly 90%. This success is the result of the community mangrove planting and restoration program that began in 2016.
The forest is thriving, providing a safe home for various species, including birds and mayflies. As villagers, we also experience increased income.
The forest has prevented and minimized damage caused by natural disasters, pressure on lakes, dams, and people's livelihoods.
Over the course of 6 years, 4,000 hectares of mangrove forests have been restored across 6 provinces. Scientists are also calculating the amount of carbon accumulation in the forest soil. The organic carbon accumulation in coastal mangrove forests is 1.5 times greater than that of inland forests, making it a crucial component in balancing the local ecosystem and supporting aquatic life.
The carbon content beneath these mangrove forests may not be significant in quantity, but it holds great biological importance due to its geographic distribution in critical areas.
We will be undertaking with MARD a carbon stock assessment, and that means we'll be able to identify how much carbon the mangrove forests are able to sequester.
Currently, there are 15 million hectares of mangrove forests worldwide. However, these forests are vulnerable to degradation and suffer damage almost every year. Therefore, developing coastal forests as part of a rapid climate change response is the shared goal for Vietnam and many other countries.
The Steering Committee for Population Work of Hà Giang Province has strongly promoted education on population and social development, as well as implemented a project to control gender imbalance at birth. This is a project to prevent child marriage and consanguineous marriage, pre-marital consultation and health examination, pre- and postnatal screening, and reproductive health care. From the beginning of the year until now, the province has organized 31 reproductive health examination and consultation sessions. The rate of couples using new contraceptive methods reached more than 108% of the plan. The rate of giving birth to a third child is more will decrease by 3.7% over the same period in 2022. "35 outstanding young individuals with disabilities were honored in Hanoi for their efforts to overcome adversity and actively contribute to community development. Each of them is testament to the down but not out spirit, serving as a role model for resilience and desire to advance and contribute. The honorees included Phie Lê Huyền, who established a handicraft group for disadvantaged students, and swimmer Trịnh Bích Như, who won 8 gold medals at the ASEAN Para Games, and many others. 3,000 exemplary young people with disabilities have been honored over the past 10 years. The Ok Om Bok Festival, also known as the Moon Offering Festival of the Khmer people, was recently restored by Sóc Trăng Province. This festival serves as an opportunity to express gratitude to the moon, which is believed to regulate crops and bring prosperity. The festival includes various offerings, with flat green rice being an essential component. Green rice holds great significance in both the material and spiritual aspects of people's lives. As part of the festival, artisans were invited to demonstrate the process of making green rice. In addition to preserving and promoting traditional cultural beauty, the festival also serves as an appealing tourism attraction. The National Target Program for Socio-Economic Development in Ethnic Groups and Mountainous Areas involves 10 projects. Sopchang Province benefits 9 out of these projects. The province is aggressively implementing these projects to bring out positive changes to both material and spiritual lives of the locals.
Supporting financial development for the locals is one of the main goals of these programs. Each locality will opt for a suitable model based on the project's guidance. Cattle reproduction is one of the models.
Now my family has cows and can access capital for reproduction. I feel very grateful for the government support. We tried our best to give my children education.
The Khmer ethnic group in My Xuyen district accounts for quite a large percentage of nearly 34%. Over the past 2 years, this locality has implemented 6 out of 9 projects in the National Target Program. As a result, the number of poor households accounts for only 1.8%.
Disadvantaged households have been supported with land, housing, and production tools to change their livelihoods. This has helped ensure the lives of local ethnic people.
After 2 years of implementation, Sopchang Province has disbursed nearly $9.2 million. Supporting the actual disadvantaged households based on their needs has brought out positive results in the region.
This is a new and big program related to 118 policies. The ethnic people are very excited with the implementation of the program.
The party and state are paying great attention to the socio-economic development of Sopchang Province to support Khmer ethnic people. Upcoming construction and projects are expected to further support ethnic groups in the region.
Coming up next in our world news, top diplomats of China, Japan, and South Korea seek to boost three-way ties. And Cambodia celebrates Moon Worshipping Festival. The foreign ministers of China, Japan, and South Korea met on Sunday at the South Korean port of Busan. This is the first three-way meeting at foreign minister level since 2019, aiming to restart cooperation among the Asian neighbors and pave the way for a summit of their 3 leaders. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi stated that after the meeting that 3 countries should play a more proactive role in promoting regional and global development, facing accelerating changes unseen in a century and the slow recovery of the world economy. The Japanese foreign minister emphasized the importance of trilateral cooperation to the regional peace as the international security situation has become more severe and complex than ever. Meanwhile, Korean Foreign Minister also affirmed the trilateral cooperation must be further institutionalized so that it will develop into a stable and sustainable system. The Malaysian government has announced that tourists from China and India will be allowed 30-day visa-free entry from December the 1st as part of its tourism and economic revival efforts. Chinese and Indian tourists account for the 4th and 5th largest arrivals to Malaysia. The Middle Eastern countries, Turkey and Jordan, already enjoy the 30-day visa-free entry, and it is now extended to those from China and India. Nonetheless, the issuance of visas will be contingent upon security screening for past records of crime or violence. Malaysia's expansion move is expected to attract 25 million international tourists. South Korea will double the limit on tax refunds for foreign tourists from January 2024, according to the country's finance minister. The limit will be raised to the maximum 1 million won, equivalent to $733 worth of a local purchase, from the current 500,000 won and 2.5 million won. The maximum limit of the on-the-spot tax refund per payment for an individual individual purchase at designated duty-free stores will be lifted from the current 500,000 won, equivalent to $380, to 1 million won, or equivalent to $773 US. The ceiling of the immediate tax refund on the total payment will be expanded from 1,910 to 3,820 US. According to South Korea's government, it was part of efforts to encourage foreign tourists to spend more here and pop up the tourism industry. Ok Om Bok, also called as Moon Worshipping Festival, is one of the 3 biggest festivals of the Khmer people in Cambodia. After the 3-year hiatus due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Cambodia held this traditional festival on the largest scale ever this year.
The boat racing festival was held on the Tunnel Sap River in front of Cambodia's royal palace. Cambodian King Norodom Sihamoni hosted the opening ceremony with the largest participation of 338 boats from all 25 provinces and cities across the country.
After a 3-year hiatus due to the COVID-19 epidemic, Cambodia has reorganized the boat racing and moon worshipping festival on a larger scale than previous years.
On the first day, about 1 million people from localities throughout Cambodia flocked to Phnom Penh to cheer on the racing boats. They also participate in several activities in the festival.
This year, the festival was held on a much large scale thanks to the peace and development of our country. Many people come to join the festival.
I am very happy that the boat racing festival was held again. This year had many racing boats in heavy competition.
The Festival of Boat Racing and Moon Worshipping in Cambodia takes place in the middle of November every year. This is the time marking the end of the rainy season and the beginning of the dry season, when sea water follows the Tunnel Sap River to the Mekong River and Cambodians begin to enter the agricultural harvest season.
And now let's take a look at the weather forecast. And that's it for this edition of VTV News. Thank you very much for watching. To rewatch our program, you can download VTVgo from App Store or Google Play, or tune in our YouTube channel at youtube.com/VTV4Go. Thanks for watching. Goodbye for now.